Thank you for coming to the second House of Portofino Black Table Talk. Today we are going to be doing comparing and contrasting and poly relationships, of course, with a focus on BDSM relationships. But just as a preface, the last table talk, I really appreciate y'all coming out, but it was very formal. It was very raise your hand, get called on, keep moving. So to be more in alignment with the concept and the energy, today is going to be much more free flowing, much more relaxed. Like, bring your teacups. We're going to be talking tea. We're going to be vibing and thriving. Sir, Norley Portofino Sr., or as you may know him as Sir JoekerGamez, is also going to be stepping in to guide and facilitate, just so I can do better in the future with our future Black tabletops. And being the phenomenal owner that he is, he was like, let daddy help. So I was like, thank you, daddy, because help. So, thank you, Jordan. And so, sir, did you want to take it away?
Yeah. Has anybody here been in poly or like had close poly friends?
I have.
Okay, that's good to know. Anybody else? And like, even if it was like an unknown poly, some people be in an unknown poly. That gets spicy.
I'm too. Yeah.
Raise your hand over here.
I've had
That cat
all.
is
I've
uncomfortable
experienced all
cat.
of them. Even been invited to a poly. I tried it. It didn't work. Yep.
When you said it didn't work, what happened? Like, what made it not work? What do you think about
Okay,
that?
so it not working. I think it's because of me. I'm one of those people. I like to affectionate with my person like alone. I just feel like I'm like if I'm losing attention or I feel like I'm fighting for attention, then it's hard. But also, I just feel like um doing it as like as a gay man or even like as a gay man. Sometimes like other gay men fight for it, the attention or like if, I don't know how to explain it, but basically it was an attention thing and I just my nerves are too
Mm.
bad.
So when you say fight for attention, I think that kind of go along with the conversation because we're talking about like comparing and contrasting. What kind of stuff did you see with that fight for attention?
Okay, so like I'll be honest, sometimes when he would like spend time with the other person, it would kind of make me jealous because it's like, damn, am I not doing enough? Like I thought I was number one, so it always felt like trying to be number one and not number two. But then he was also like, I love both of y'all the same, but I was trying to be number one and outbeat the other person because I just wanted him to
Mm.
myself, you know? And I think that's why it didn't work for me is because I really didn't understand the true meaning of like a poly relationship. But because I was also like younger as well, so this was like during college or like my first years of college. And so, and then we didn't also have a relationship with the other person because I seen poly relationships where the other like there's the middleman and then they all three get along. But it was
Mhm.
like me, my man, and then I knew he was in another like we were in an open relationship and he was talking to somebody else. And they were together too. So
Mm.
it just wasn't like like the form of communication, the communication was off and just also not having that bond with the other person to really understand their like true meaning and like their intentions. It kind of created a line between us to say.
Yeah, so it seemed like y'all were like, and that the person said they were poly, but you had your own agenda going into it. That's what I'm hearing. And then it wasn't like a
It
great
was
amount of
like
communication.
it wasn't something I wanted to do, but it was more so like he just talked me into it and was like love dubbing me up and stuff like that. And I was like, I really like you, so I'm gonna do it because I like you, and I think I'm gonna win you.
But we all do shit because we like people. I mean, even being a master or a dom, I mean, we do certain things or try certain things because maybe the slave or the submissive wants to try it and we become open to it. I think the key there is just being honest, like I think
I,
honesty is a really,
I,
really like profound thing in a relationship. Like even if it comes down to, this really ain't my thing, but I'm trying it for you. Like I'm trying it for you and I need you to really just support me in this, because in my mind, like, I haven't done this before. I've been monogamous and I want all of the attention. And then I think at that point, the person in the relationship, whether it's BDSM or not, it's their job to kind of talk to you and navigate that, because it could simply be a reply back. Well, if you need extra support or instruction on this, I'm not open to doing that. So we're not compatible. But then I think a lot of times we lie to ourselves and we don't want to share that because we know the person's not going to talk to us if we share that. Or in our mind, we think the person won't want us anymore if we share that. So that's some great points. I just want to remind everybody during the conversation, like, if somebody say something that you want to chime in on, like, "Ooh, yeah, that was my experience too," or you want them to elaborate on it, then please feel free to jump in. Like, Nuri and myself are facilitating, but it's not meant to be like an educational session. It's really just for us to talk. Because the first time that I tried a poly relationship, it was honestly because in my real life I was monogamous. Like, I was in a relationship from, like, before I even knew myself as a person. I'm talking like 15 years old, and the person I was with was 20.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got tired of playing house. So I was like, I'm not gonna log into this game and play house. It really had nothing to do with like desire for several people. I just did not want to play this game and play house. I'm like, I'm in a virtual world. I don't have to play house in a virtual world. I should be able to do what I want to do, and be trusted to do that. So that was my reason. So I think like some hitting on some motivators right there.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, come on with it.
Okay. So that, I think that is why it made me not even want to do poly in real life. Well, I think SL, because when it comes to SL, in this day and age, and like where I'm at with my mindset with SL is like, you gotta going into, there's no such thing as a just you in a relationship on SL or in that virtual world. It's always going to be somebody else, and like nobody can tell me different because of what I'm seeing in relationships. And I play SL like my pretty much my dang near whole
Can you
life.
share what SL is, just for people who like might listen?
Okay.
It's not in the chat today. Yeah.
Second Life, y'all. So if y'all don't know, Second Life is a virtual world that allows people to be themselves and really experience themselves in a way that they have not been able to in real life, at least for me. And so Second Life has a way of like impacting relationships, because there's so many people, and like people get caught up in their avatars, and we forget who we are. But either way, like I don't want to get too much off topic, but poly relationships is a really big thing on Second Life, whether it's unknown like Dad said or known. It's really big on Second Life. And like when you're in a relationship on SL, you almost have to think like you gotta know you either in a poly relationship or you in an unknown poly relationship. Like literally. And so I had got to the point where I was like, shit, I'm tired of being in an unknown poly relationship. So let me see what like maybe me actually knowing about the poly relationship will make the relationship better. But it didn't, and which is why I stopped
I just
dating on
gotta say
SL.
that I'm not in no poly relationship,
Child, you
and
in
I've
an
been in my
unknown one.
relationship for a year. Oh no, I'm not. Oh no, I'm not. We very transparent, and he literally shows me text messages, screenshots of everybody that's in his box, so I know. Same with me.
Well,
So we're
you
very transparent.
99.9% of the people that's not in one. But
Well, like, I think, like, I think some people go back and forth between monogamy or poly. Have you ever been in one?
Sister?
I mean, if you wanna call with me, he had poly, sure, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to call it anything, but maybe what you want to call it. What would you call it?
Sure. I mean, I guess it was a poly.
Unknown poly, huh? That was the unknown poly.
No, that wasn't unknown. That was very known. That was very known.
So you said it was very known. So kind of what makes you like, because I hear that undertone of like, like what made it, because I hear that in your voice.
Because I guess I accepted something that I really didn't want. Like I'm very down for like any and everything, like to try any and everything once.
Yeah.
But I had really strong feelings for this person, and just like sharing him with other people like really didn't sit right with me. And instead of me like sticking to my guns and saying fuck you and these bitches, like it's either me or them, I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna try it. And no matter what I did, I got the short end of the stick. So I was like, I
Yeah.
played myself short, and I'm not gonna do that again. And then, come to find out, the person said, "Oh, well, you could have told me that you just wanted me. It could have been me and you, but that's not true. We're not gonna do
Right. So they
that."
kind of tried to mind game it. They tried to mind game
Ex-
it at the end.
Exactly, exactly. Like, no, that's not true, because you said don't put restrictions on you, whatever expectations, all this other bullshit. So we're not gonna do that.
I do have a question.
But but now I got exactly what I want.
I love
That's
that
what's
for
up.
you, baby.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. And Jordan, yeah, chime in.
So I would say, because now we can go into into how BDSM relates to poly, is that I like y'all make I don't feel like poly is the same as a BDSM relationship. Like, so do you consider being in a BDSM relationship a poly relationship? Because I think they're two different things. That's what I was
No, they
confused
are
at,
two
and why
different
I wanted to
things.
ask y'all.
Yeah. No, they're absolutely two different things. And that's a
Great,
lot.
because I would say, I'm sorry to cut you off, Vicious. I would say I like a BDSM relationship better than a dang poly relationship. Just on the outside looking in, poly relationship I could not do, but I like the way the structure of a BDSM relationship is. It's way different than a poly relationship. Way different in so many ways.
Yeah, no doubt. And then I heard Red December say, what was behind that? Share with the group. Don't hold on.
Yes, sir. I think I had read something a while ago, and I can't remember what it was. But you know what? It might have been that terrible Black BDSM book that I read from Amazon that I wrote a terrible review for. It might have been that book. I
Was that
cannot remember.
Amazon?
I read something that was just insane. It was so bad, and it was trying to say that like most BDSM relationships are poly, but if you really know about the lifestyle, you know that's not true. And a lot of people try to like lump them together, like, oh, BDSM, the D type is just collecting S types. And I think that's like a stigma around BDSM, but you can easily be vanilla and be polygamous or polyamorous. So it just seems like it gets lumped together because it's something that's outside of the norm of being monogamous, but the two are not, they're not the same at all.
Agreed.
Yeah, Elysium agrees in the chat too. It's two different dynamics. I think the confusion comes in is because you may run into, I think it's all about exposure, right? Because it depends on what you're exposed to. Like just in this group, there's two different people. There's two different sets of people that I can identify right now. There's some people that's for it and some people that's not. And based on listening to experiences, it seems like, typical human dynamics, what you've been in kind of shapes how you see things. And I also think like a self-reflection of yourself shapes how you see things. So if you have a history of being neglected or not feeling like a priority, or if you have that very rooted societal mind that if a person likes someone else, then that means they don't like me. It's kind of like the truths you've been exposed to. And the truths that you've been exposed to is not only based on like verbal propaganda from people, but it's also based on your personal experience. And the hard part is trying to tell your brain the opposite of that when your personal experience is saying it's trash. And then the world has told you it's trash. And so you don't have any evidence of what is positive. And so then you brave like Jordan or you brave like VG Minaj. And then you're like, okay, why did I do this? Like everything that I thought was going to go wrong is going wrong. And I did it because I like this person. I thought it would be better. I think that often BDSM is a non-traditional lifestyle, and I think people start to equate anything that's not traditional with BDSM, but they forget the backbone of BDSM. And I think that's the reason why they just kind of like lump poly in, because it's not uncommon to find a dom that may invite other people to the bedroom for scenes, or may have more than one person that they provide governance over. But it's also very common to find just a monogamous dom that has no interest in anybody else. It's very possible to have a monogamous submissive or slave that has no interest in anybody else. I think that comes down to preferences and activities and relationship. But I wouldn't say that if you see BDSM, there's an umbrella underneath that says poly always. Like I don't see it that way either.
Absolutely.
I would say that I didn't mind being in the poly situation. I just think that because I realized that I did like my space, and I don't like to be up on up underneath my significant other 24/7. I like to go do my own thing, bitch or off. I'm adventurous, so I did realize that about myself. But what I didn't like that it was just lies. It was no truth. It was just lies. Why are you lying? Like, you had multiple females here. Why are we lying here? Okay, if you're gonna go be with her, sleep with her, whatever, that's fine. It was just too many lies, and it just turned me off or whatever. Like, but what me and Sir Mars had was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I would cherish that, and yeah. But to each his own, whatever. I don't know if I would do that again with the poly, just because now I'm not gonna play with females for real. I'm smacking hoes. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Okay. No, hey,
Yeah,
all
sis,
all
I'm
in
right
every
behind
type of
you.
comment.
Smack the hell out of them.
But I can. Oh
But
no, go ahead.
can I say
Brother Simba.
something? Oh wait, go ahead, Mama.
I was gonna say, like, I agree with that. I have seen two different sides of a poly dynamic. I've seen one where it's very open and honest. And then I've seen one where it's just been like not telling everybody everything. Some people know some things, being very secretive, lying, ranking, who's at the top, who's at the bottom. It was very chaotic. I would never
Heavy on
want to
the
be in a
ranking. Heavy on the
situation.
ranking. Let's emphasize the ranking.
Emphasize the ranking. I had dealt with someone that like literally put them in order to me, somebody that they were like, trying to be with. I think that's weird. But for me, that's not even the weirdest part. Like I said, I think it's just like the lying and not telling the truth and just, just being honest. I feel like do you feel wrong in your dynamic that you're not telling the truth? Like what would cause you to want to be in a poly but like lie to the people you're in a poly with? I'm not really sure.
I think we bringing it back to like the backbone of the conversation, because we're trying to get. I kind of hear some of those prerequisites that are like making the people in the relationship do the comparing and the contrasting. And I see Jordan, you raise your hand.
Yes. So I want to say this, and I don't know if I'm gonna say this in the wrong way, but I would take a BDSM relationship. I like the BDSM relationship because you're in a relationship with that individual person. So I feel like I could do BDSM without the BDSism, like some of the things that come with BDSM. So I said I like that. I like that because then I have a strong relationship with that individual person, with that person, and that person, although might talk to other people, also have strong relationship with those individual people where there's no picking sides. So that's why it's like I could take that part in the BDSM, and then yeah, you could consider me BDSM because I like that. But it's some like if we could take some things out of BDSM, then I would enjoy it because I enjoy that part. I like that part. So that's my take on it.
I'll say one more thing, Yoni.
Yes.
Yeah, chime
You
in,
say
chime
yes.
in, tap in.
I also thinking about that dynamic. What I also feel like goes back to the backbone of this conversation was one of the girls that he was with had an issue with me, and I had never spoken to her before. But she was very like vocal about me. So if we were looking in the same space, she would try to be snarky. And I kind of felt like, what kind of dynamic is this where this person is talking badly about me? You know that they will say things publicly. Like what is that? And it turned into a whole thing because I'm not gonna let someone just keep disrespect me for no reason. I had never even talked to the girl before, but she was just, for some reason, I don't know if she was insecure or hadn't. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but he knew this and it didn't get shut down. It didn't get handled until it all blew up with multiple people involved. And I felt that was kind of strange too. So kind of going back to, you have this person that is in the quote unquote leadership role here, and they know that people they're with are disrespectful to other people that they're trying to be with or that they are with. I also felt that was just like, okay. That's all Leonie's.
Hi. How y'all doing?
Hey,
Hey.
Stefan.
Hello.
May I jump in?
Hello.
I'm still. Hey,
Yes,
Joy.
yes, sir. So what's up? Get in there.
Exactly. So first of all, miss you guys. How you doing? I'm here. Um, Polly. So initially, when I first learned about poly, I was like 18 years old, right? It was in this wonderful place called IMVU. In
Mm.
this wonderful place, shh, don't say nothing, don't tell nobody. Okay. IMVU, there was a Dom, his name was called Callus. And Mr. Callus, he was a poly and everything else. So he was into cat play, knife play, rich play, poly play. It was a lot going on. I think that he had a branch in every piece of the BDSM lifestyle that you could have within the kink matter.
Mm-hmm.
So when he initially presented it to me, right, I'm a little naive, don't know anything. It was kind of weird because he was like, "This is what you're gonna do, and if you want to be here, this is it." And when you're just trying to, it was a virtual world, like Stern Neroli says. So I was like, I'm not doing anything in real life. I just had a baby. Let's see how this works. Now, that was in 2006. Here we are today. The fact that he refused to break down things when questions were asked, it left me confused about a lot of things, even though on one aspect, depending on where you're gaining your information from, it's kind of presented as a beautiful thing. And I'm talking about poly. And something that made me want to kind of just see on a virtual platform is because, well, I think having multiple people in a home that is balanced is cool. My mindset is that if I'm lacking in something, if homegirl over there could bring that thing in, and me and homegirl communicating and we bonding and we serving in the household, because I had some concept back then we could rock out on something good. Okay. On the flip side, education is key to understand this lifestyle because, as everyone has stated who has spoken, it's two sides to the dynamic. And I'm not going to ramble on, but I'm getting to my point and then I'm going to land my plane. So that experience for me kind of confused me because I'm a person, I'm an Aquarius. I like to do things. I'm kind of like free flowing, but I also have a curious mind. And with that curious mind and the unknown, you kind of have questions. My issue was they couldn't be presented to me for my mind to understand it. Instead of barking the orders, this is what it is. If you want to rock with me, you going to rock with me. I'm like, well, I'm going to go ahead and skip to the Lou My Darling in the river because I don't think I want to do this. Pineapples. 2016, I think it was. Virtual. I met Master Symbolic. I said I have a curious mind. The shift, because doing that Mr. Callus thing, I was like, blah, I don't want to do this. This is too much for me. Nobody's answering my questions. I'm introduced to Master Symbolic, and the first few questions that I had, he pretty much told me what he wanted in the beginning. I am in a poly household, it is what it is, and a series of other things. And I was like, I think that's kind of cute. Let's see what else goes here. Now, initially, I'm an individual, real life. I don't know how well I would do. But virtually, I can do anything because I have the power. We're going to do this. But my purpose and my point is with learning the different dynamics, because Master is very by the book. When he has something particular, he's going to let you know, and he'll give you an option. You can either choose to continue or, scoot your boots. It is what it is, no hard feelings. But he gave me answers when I asked questions. He gave me understanding to really, like, think we could do something. Now, I've been in this house for 10 years. I think over the last 5 years, we've had, a solid individual who could potentially become a member of the house. And I think I could rock with it because we've had time to build a relationship, right? It wasn't just, hey, I got a new girl. She's going to be in my house. Woo, and that's that. It's like, no. So for me, as an adult woman in my real life, because though it is a virtual platform, I still present my real life, okay? Because we've had the time to grow a bond, and it wasn't just smack dab in my face, here it is. I feel like there would be no problems because he gave me the answers. He's given me the experience, and I've grown in the poly lifestyle. Before I got here, I was afraid, and I think I'm gonna land my plane right there for right now.
Mm, I appreciate that, Landon, because you.
I know I say a lot. I love
You
y'all.
preached. I like that.
It's really interesting because before I had a similar situation where the third kind of poly relationship that I run into is direct and aggressive competition, where it's a quote unquote poly relationship or open relationship, however it's explained, but it's like I'm mad at you, so I'm gonna go kick it with Kelly, and then when Kelly makes me mad or messes up, then I'm gonna come hang out with you, and then we're gonna keep doing that until I'm sick of it and I add in the third person. That's pretty much the structure of my first experience with an open or poly relationship. So it was instant dislike, agitation, irritability for the other person that I didn't really have any history with, but so every time I mess up, you're gonna threaten me. You're gonna threaten me with keeping company with somebody else. And so when I saw a healthy poly dynamic that Sir demonstrated, where I was like, my fight or flight started kicking in, and I was like, "Ooh, this seemed like something I've experienced before, but different person, different realization, different perspective." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try it because I'm not gonna keep running from what other people did and running away from what I want to try now." And the two have nothing to do with each other. So wherever Callus is now or Sir Callus is now, GG's, but GG's, but
Right.
that you kicked up a memory. I was like, oh yeah, yep, I'm familiar. Whew.
I
But
think what.
that goes. Oh, wait, go ahead.
Nope, you go. You go.
Okay. So y'all bring up like very valid points because on the virtual world, like guys have this thing of like they think they're BDSM because they put a collar around your neck. Like that's a very big thing. It's like, oh, I got a collar. I'll put a
Yeah.
collar around a bitch neck, and oh my god, this is my BDSM. I'm in a BDSM relationship. And so a lot of and that is a real thing. What Vicious said is like, oh, you pissed me off, so now I'm gonna go get another girl. And there's no real like communication or bond. But what I have learned, like being around y'all and being around my dad and my mom and stuff like that, is y'all all have after communication. Y'all study, y'all read about BDSM, y'all expand y'all's knowledge about BDSM, but in the setting that we were in, and I think like just not understanding like what true BDSM was what had threw me off because it's like most people on SL or most guys on SL think BDSM is just the girl just wearing a collar and you having their map rights and you telling her what to do and she's supposed to bow down to you. So that is what I've gotten from BDSM on SL. So I think that just also knowing like you have to do your own research as well and actually know for yourself like what am I actually walking into? What is this like? And then know, oh yeah, this is not what I want. Like this is not a BDSM relationship. This is not a true poly relationship, and that's why I was able to, I guess, remain healthy in my SL life.
Mhm.
I was in a
Yeah.
BDS, or no, I wasn't. I was in a poly relationship one time.
Talk about it.
How'd it go? Yeah, what happened? What
It
happened
was
from your
lit for me.
perspective?
Oh, okay.
Oh, what made it lit? What made it lit? Because we talked about a lot about like the not so great things, or the black side of it. What's the white side of it? What makes it look good? Matter of fact, let's flip it. It's Black History Month. What's the black side of it? What
Yeah,
looks good?
Flip
I'm black.
it.
My blackest regards.
Cause blackest regards, fist bump. It was lit for me because I didn't like. Don't get me wrong, like and it's probably my own trauma and shit I deal with, but I don't like to be bothered with people all the time in condensed spaces. That's my whole scare with being in a relationship because you really have to like dig under layers and stuff. and I have trust issues, and I got some heavy layers, right? So when I was in this poly relationship, it was lit because I'm like, you want to go on a couple, and this is on Second Life. You want to go on a couple dates, you know what I'm saying? You want to do the yeah. You go on about your way, I go on about mine. You go see the other bitch. It's great. And it was cool. It would work out for me. It was the other girl who was getting upset because the dude that I was with wanted to always be around, which was kind of annoying to me. But I was like, damn, I'm in it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he used to be like, I ain't no stick in the mud. I'm like, I ain't say that, but damn. Don't you got a party or something to go to? Golly. Got a DJ, nigga. You know, so for me, it was lit. But for them, it wasn't. Like him and her, it wasn't that great. And so we had all just broke up. And it was cool. I wasn't mad. But I've never been in one that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like my feelings would get hurt or nothing like that. I'm even married to 2 dudes right now.
Oh, pimping ain't easy. Okay.
Pimping ain't easy. I'm
2.5,
sick.
you know what I'm saying? 2.5.
You know what I mean? 2 1/4. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
Not 2 1/4.
I think that y'all make great points. And to kind of bring it back to the conversation, I think it's about one of the key things that I noticed Tip said was that she was focused on her. I think when you compare and contrast in poly relationships, that's where it starts to fall apart. And when you don't have like a skilled practitioner or that, I mean, there's so many different types of poly. There's V, there's triads, there's all these different things. I try to make it as simple as possible to think either there's one person in a poly where they're going to do what they want to do and everybody's okay with them doing what they want to do. And then everybody else can do what they want to do too. Or there's a person in a poly where they're the center of it and nobody else can do what they want to do. And we have to understand that there's a difference between polygamy and polyamorous, right? Because in some polyamorous relationships, you know, again, everybody doing what they want to do. It could be 3 people in a relationship, but y'all can go sleep with whoever, as long as we have transparent and clear, open communication. It could be more polygamous where there's a center to that relationship and the other people in the relationship can't do other things. It just depends on the setup of the dynamic. But one of the things to shift that comparison and that contrast, because it seems like from what y'all been talking about, there's been like this system of hierarchy. This person is more important. This person is getting more time. You're not telling me this. Or in Red December case, you telling me that the women that you're already with and supposed to be connected to are in a kind of like a fighting pit is what it sounds like. Like if she's number 1, she's number 2, and she's number 3. Yeah, but it's gonna create a sense of having to fight, because once you start ranking something, the human mind wants to be number 1. There's nobody in the world that is like, yeah, I want to be number 7 when you word it like that. Like, you know, she's number 1. So when it comes down to it, if I'm tired and fatigued, she's gonna get my energy, and you catch me on the flip side when you get a chance to. Or he's gonna get my energy, so catch me on the flip side when you get a chance to. So even if they don't mean it that way, the human mind is conditioned to want to be number 1. That's a human facet. We're animals. It's just like lions. You know, as a king of the jungle, we want to be top. And so if you enter a poly relationship and you're wording it like that to people, hey, Saoirse's my number 1, the Jazzy Show is my number 2, Vicious is my number 3, and Elysium is my number 4, probably naturally Elysium is gonna be like, so we're in a ranking. That means that usually people that are ranked top, they get more. So I'm going to be shortchanged. And that already conditions the mind to start to compare, contrast, and that leads to a road of jealousy. And when somebody does that, you can't really focus on what you have with that person, because in the back of your mind, you're trying to be number 1. And I think that's where some of the issues and the problem come in at. You have to be able to reframe your perspective, and whoever's leading the relationship has to be very careful about what they say and do. I think somebody said, you know, they were talking shit or crap, for lack of better words. They were saying a lot of negative things about the other people they were in a relationship with. Now my brain has evolved, so it makes me think, if you what you saying to them about me? So old girl or old dude he hates me or they don't like me, but they never had any interaction with me, but it's because all you're doing is saying negative things to me about them. That doesn't seem healthy to me. And I think it creates that foundational structure of compare and contrast, which is not healthy, because I'm not telling people how to slice and dice their poly, but I've been polyamorous on SL for a while. I wouldn't do it in real life, and the reason being is not because I can't see myself with more than one person, but I wouldn't do it in real life because I'm a firm believer that you have to have the emotional, financial, and social resources to be able to do that. I personally don't have that, not in real time. Being behind the computer and sharing your affection or mitigating emotions, providing virtual support to somebody or even some real life support, that's different. But when you're talking about in real life, how do you manage 3 or 4 relationships? So that's the reason why I would not be poly in real life. It's not because I don't like the concept. It kind of goes back to what Tip was saying a little bit. The Jazzy Show was saying she enjoys her personal time. I think somebody else said that too. So having somebody that has somebody else, okay, cool. This will give me my personal time. I'm not jealous. We all vibing and thriving. So people get into these different relationships for their own reasons. And I think your motivation for being in it is what you need to isolate and understand before you engage in it, if that makes sense. Kind of going back to what Saoirse was saying. When she was saying like she had questions from Sir Mix-a-Lot, excuse me, Sir Cyrus. What was his name?
I
Sir
love
Cyrus.
it. Callous. Mix a lot. Freaking foolishness. Yes.
Sir Mix-a-Lot. I think Mix-a-Lot came to mind because you said he was into so many things. So,
Yes.
Sir Mix-a-Lot, he wasn't answering questions and she couldn't get any insight or information. And you can't even make an informed decision on whether or not this is something that can become healthy for you or is healthy for you.
Yeah, give me an opportunity to make a decision instead of just like thrusting. And it's something else I find that's kind of difficult with poly is people when there's a discord there is when the other party is coming in purely because they are intrigued by the hierarchy versus and not acknowledging the other parties that the hierarchy already is involved with. It's kind of like I want to say nerd. This the disconnect is like why you creating Discord? Why can't we kind of bring it together? So that's something else. When your feelings get involved, oh man, that's a whole nother topic. But we're not there right now. Hmm.
You brought
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead, Nuri.
Oh, thank you, sir. You brought up a really good point about the reason why people get into a poly relationship, especially when they know that there are multiple people in the relationship. And a lot of times, even from my own narrative, it's like, well, they pit us against each other, or I ended up in this because they wanted it, they did. So, what what do you think is some of the accountability for one of the poly partners to kind of step in and recognize their surrounding? Or does that go back to what Saoirse was saying about having the knowledge of what you're really getting into, getting those questions answered before jumping in?
I think you're not gonna have every question answered before you start a relationship. I was recently discussing a courting process with someone, and you're not gonna have because when you interact, there's foundational knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Foundational knowledge. But every individual is unique in these situations. So I don't think you'll have every question and every answer to begin with. I think that's why people hate when I say this, even though I'm not quite 40 or 50 yet, but I think that's where courting and knowing each other as a human being first is so important. Because I don't know about y'all, but when I connect with somebody, I zone in on not imprint, that's too heavy, but more so zone in on them. I'm watching how they treat other people, how they're treating people they quote unquote love. I'm watching their habits. I'm watching what they give their time to. I'm studying them before I even approach them. So I think a lot of people just take the time, oh, you look good, I'm finna hop on that. Oh, he walked in a room, his energy's strong, I'm finna talk to him. But it just stays there. You don't take the time to really understand the person as a human being. Because technically, you know more about a person's values by observing them than asking them.
Mm.
If you ask them, the brain is conditioned for success. So if you ask me, how structured are you, Sir Neroli? Of course I'm gonna have a pristine answer. Because obviously you're asking me because you want to be with a structured individual, or either you don't want to be with a structured individual. It's one of the two sides. You're not asking me because you're bored. You're asking me for a reason. So my brain is gonna think, okay, she must like structure. So now let me and you may not even intentionally be doing this. Your brain will feed whatever narrative you want in your life. I promise you. Whether it's a positive one or a negative one, your brain will find references. It seems like your brain went and dug up a tree from 1567 to prove you right or wrong. That's how great the brain is. So if you ask that question, I might start telling you, oh, I'm really structured. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. But then if you watch me in real time, I seem scatterbrained. I never have an answer for anything. I'm always late to everything. I have the calendar I told you I got is just sitting on my desk, but I ain't wrote no date or no time in it. You know what I'm saying? So I think observation and taking the time to get to know each other as human beings is always important first, but we tend to not do that. So I think that goes back to Jordan when Jordan was saying like communication. Everybody's been saying communication. I think communication is really important. And I see Nereza.
Hello. So I just wanted to answer a little bit of Nuri's question, I believe. I've been in a poly relationship before, Master, but it's only been like BDSM, never been like a vanilla one. The first one I was in, it was like almost like gore, but it was like another version of gore. And there was like 6 people in the house, and there was a hierarchy. But I didn't really care because I was intrigued by the BDSM lifestyle, and he had like a main person that taught the new people that he would bring in. But I wasn't really emotionally connected to that, so I didn't really care. I didn't really care about that. I was in another one that was with just one other submissive and the dominant, and I came along. But the submissive was very clear she didn't like him having someone else or thinking about someone else. So that was really awkward. So meeting Master, I didn't really know about poly, or I'm not really poly in real life at all. I'm very much monogamous. But with Master, I knew what I wanted. So it doesn't matter what kind of relationship he's in. If I'm gonna do what I need to do to be in a relationship with him. And I know with poly, a lot of times it comes with insecurities and stuff. So I had to get over my own insecurities and stuff like that because I knew what I wanted. I had a goal. So I was very just determined to keep my eyes on my own paper, communicate, and just mind my own business, and focus on my goal and my submissive/slave path, and that was it. So for me, I wasn't really like, ooh, I'm onto poly or looking for a poly relationship, or I didn't know a whole lot about poly. It was just like I knew what I wanted, and also Master took a long time to like get to know me. I get to know him. I came around the family. We asked questions. It was very like gradual, our communication. So it wasn't like a sudden throw in the house and that was it. And I think a lot of times when it's discord like that, it happens when it's girls just come jump in together. They don't know each other, and then it's like discord. So for me, it was very smooth. I trusted Master, so that really helped things go smooth. And that's my experience with that.
You brought up a really good point, and so for me, I've been with Surf, gosh darn, like 9 years now. So, jumping Jehoshaphat. So, Sir will tell you up front that he goes very slow, and it's very intentional. So what also starts happening on the other side of the spectrum, outside of people just showing up and suddenly being in the relationship, is that you too get to see how their bond is growing, and you get to see how amazing they are as an individual, and then suddenly your insecurities are set off, because I could see why he would want to help rear you. I could see why he would want to own you. I could see why you're such a perfect fit. I could see why he values your input. I could see why he's starting to care for you. I could see why he's starting to love you. And now I'm comparing because I didn't do that. I didn't go through that. We don't have that connection. We don't talk about things like that. I'm not over these particular circumstances. I've never been able to help him with that. And then suddenly the admiration of the person coming in and the connection that they have is now a reflection of my insecurity. And so now I'm struggling, like shaking in my timbers and my boots, because I get it. I get why you would be wanted. I get why you would be an asset to the house. And now, am I still an asset? Like that. For y'all that have been around, I've had my backslides. I've had my insecurities about new people coming in, and I'm like, oh, okay. I get why she's here. Like, I understand it, and I am still struggling to understand why I'm here. So now I'm projecting and reflecting and comparing and losing myself completely. So, the instant add of the stranger to the relationship is one thing, but also having gotten to know somebody and understanding why they're there, and you're like, be strong, be grounded, you got this, but the whole time your knees are shaking. That is also another component of the comparison too.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's what we get in the difference. I think that's what we get in the difference between comparing, which is unhealthy, and like contrasting, because you can see the difference, right? Nobody's saying like act like it's not there, because it's not going to be the same. The situation Nuri is talking about explicitly is in my earlier years, I used to be a hardcore still a little bit of this, but I used to be a hardcore sadist, like physical and emotional. The things I used to do with the person I was with in real life was very interesting. I found more balance with that. But it was some hardcore things. I mean, down from like knives and moving them rapidly in between fingers and stuff like that. And so in SL, that part of my brain got reactivated. And Nuri is very much Nuri surrenders because Nuri chooses to, but Nuri doesn't necessarily have like a servile surrender personality off chief or on God. It's something that's cultivated over time. Even so, to the point when I first met Nuri, she was telling me how she dominated somebody. And it was hilarious to me because the idea of dominate was had a girl show up butt naked and have sex. And I laughed because it's so much more than that. But I think what it boils down to is being able to understand like where you are, and being able to value where you are and what you have personally in the relationship. Because in this situation, I met somebody that was a full-fledged masochist. I mean, from the first time I met her, I'm so zoned into when somebody is a masochist. I can usually tell by the things they say, even down to what they wear and how they dress. And so Nuri had approached me and was like, well, Vicious Beauty, as you all know her, had approached me and was like, start asking me about masochism, start asking me about sadism. And being the in-tune dom or master I am, I'm like, this is an interesting chain of events. I tend to be talking to somebody that's a masochist, and now you're asking me all these questions about masochists. This seems like this could potentially start a problem. So as a seasoned dom, I was able to recognize that head on and have a conversation with her about that. Because the reality is, you may have, each connection is different. If it was the same, you wouldn't be poly. Let's just be honest. But what you get out of a relationship and what you receive from it does not equate to worth. And I know that's difficult to believe, but it does not equate to worth in the relationship. Because just because the other person I was dealing with at the time was a masochist and it's something that I enjoyed, I did not need Vicious Beauty to become a masochist. There are things that I love about Vicious Beauty. That's why I'm with Vicious Beauty. It has nothing to do with her being a mimic of someone else. And I think in relationships, we take that more comparison. Oh, wow. Like, okay. So they really like masochists now. I'm going to go read books on self-pain. And first of all, let's backtrack and put this in BDSM perspective. Is you taking control of the relationship at that point, which is out of line. You're trying to like sneak under the rug and take control of the relationship. Because if your dom or master wanted that from you, he would do what? He or she would do what?
Instruct.
Tell you.
Exactly. Exactly. So they don't need that from you. They're getting what they need from you. So it was very interesting to me. And when I was researching this a little bit before the conversation today, I found some impactful quotes. And one of them was, our dynamic is rooted in obedience and discipline, where theirs is built on deep emotional servitude. Both are valid and beautiful. I enjoyed that quote because it definitely highlights that there's a difference in how the property is serving, but it acknowledges that they both are valid and beautiful, that those connections have their own unique reciprocity in them, and there's no need to compare, even though you can clearly see the difference, which is the contrasting.
Our thoughtless.
That.
It the compare and contrasting also brings to mind this word compersion. Are y'all familiar with the word or the definition for compersion?
Girl, go on over there and give us a definition, why don't you?
Come on with it.
So compersion, the best example I can give for compersion is rather than seeing how the owner interacts with another slave or submissive in the house and feeling jealous, your reaction is, I'm so glad that he's getting extra service. I feel joy at them being provided for. It's like altruism in the comparison, the unselfish concern for the welfare of others. So I had to own in on that. I had to, yep, I'll read it out loud. Thank you, sir. What compersion is and isn't. It is a deep sense of contentment, security, and even excitement when a partner finds joy in another relationship or experience. It isn't forced happiness, emotional detachment, or ignoring valid insecurities. Compersion doesn't mean ignoring personal needs or boundaries. It thrives in relationships and strong communication and self-awareness. I had to grab that with both hands and then wrap my legs around and then like lock my ankles because it's so easy. It's so easy, especially when it's service and love in a BDSM relationship, because the service has to come first. So in a service mindset, no, I'm a specific example. No, I am not a calendar person. I don't alarms. What I struggle that organizing, committing to a schedule. I struggle, but knowing that every day there's a schedule laid out. What's going to happen? The schedule is made by another trusted and beloved person in the household, rather than being like, well, I'm not good at doing schedules. I'm not good at doing this. I'm not good at, and this is just a surf example. I could never do that. I'm like, whew, okay, sir, you got your schedule together. You know what's coming down the pipeline. Whatever you got planned isn't going to catch you off guard. Amen. Because that's not my wheelhouse, but you got a wheel in your house that can do it. And so I think that's the goal that I strive for if there's an instance of comparison or insecurity, because it's an ongoing battle. There's so many reasons that you could allow yourself to be insecure, but it's again allowing yourself to stick in that insecurity and then making it a negative thing, if that makes sense. I felt like I just rambled on for a long time, but thank you.
No, I think that's a true it's a valid comment, and I just want to say I really appreciate the conversation today. It went very well so far. Like, y'all shared some insights, and I feel like everybody was really excited about the topic. So we love when we're excited about things we're learning. I do want to keep our time commitment, so we have about 5 minutes left in the conversation, just so we don't go too far over. But I like the idea that you brought up this topic of compersion, and I think that y'all know my trusty dusty sidekick is going to be Victoria. So I've asked Victoria to help me and assist me with understanding this process. But I think it's like a natural thing for me, which is why when people talk about, like, when I talk about my love for somebody, I talk about it being agape. And you can have unconditional love for somebody, but that doesn't mean your feelings aren't hurt. For example, if, I don't know, let's just say I was with Sax, and Sax said that they chose to sever the ties in our relationship because they found something that fits more of a criteria for them. Is that a hit to the chest? Yes. Would I probably cry about it? Yes. But if I truly mean that I love Sax and I want the best for Sax, and Sax has decided that something else is the best for Sax, then I'm happy that they're happy. Because if I'm not happy that they're happy, then I'm letting my insecurity, I'm letting my trauma, influence my words, and that makes my words untrue, if that makes sense. So I think it's really, somebody mentioned like insecurity earlier. I think it's really important to like hone in on some of those insecurities and be able to talk through them and talk about them openly. Because when you have open and honest communication, it doesn't mean that you're not going to cry, doesn't mean that you won't be disappointed, doesn't mean that your feelings won't be hurt. I mean, I had to have I was talking about courting real life outside of the game, because I'm approaching 40 and thinking about like starting a family and all these different things. And I've had to have some tough conversations about that and what that looks like. And not easy. Something to cry over. But despite the tears, it's, I want what's best for you. What you choose is valid. I'm gonna rock with you either way. And I think that's compersion, because that person isn't like looking at me saying, oh yeah, I'm super happy for y'all. I'm so excited this is the person that you're gonna talk to. I'm super excited. Like, it's not that inflated lie. It's this hurts, but I want what's best for you. And I'm gonna still love you. That's genuine. And I think to close us out today, one of the things to think about is when you're entering these poly relationships is to be genuine with yourself, genuine with the person that you're dealing with or the people. Having honest and open communication, being realistic about what you can and what you can't do, and really just fixing or addressing. I don't want to say fix, because I'm starting to change my mindset. I really don't believe humans are broken, because there's no perfect human being. In order for us to be broken, we'd have to have an idea of what fix looks like, right? But there's no human that's quote unquote fixed. So I don't think we're broken. I just think we're trying to constantly calibrate. We're in a period of calibration, and that calibration needs to be honest. It needs to be open. It needs to serve you and what you choose to serve. I believe Nuri has a form for you all to fill out to give us some feedback on the tabletop, because this is an aspiration for the House of Portofino. I really think that being in a lifestyle, I really like community and building community. And I'm looking forward to what feedback you all have, because I want to record the next one of these that we do for realsies and put on the internet. As Tip say, I want people to chime in while we talk on the internet. She says that when she's playing games. So I'm looking forward to spreading that knowledge and that awareness. So Nuri, I'll let you close us out with any final thoughts.
Thank you so much, Tay. Thank y'all for coming through to the second Black Tabletop. The energy we brought tonight truly made this a safe space for openness, communication, and sharing. We live for conversations like this, because sharing perspectives and experiences and lessons is how us as a community can grow stronger together. The real goal tonight, that you walk away with your cup fuller and maybe a little tea to sip, because we've all been through some situations and experiences. So with the feedback form, I'll go ahead and post it, because I love the energy in the chat, chat, if you find time, please make sure to fill out our feedback form, because there's going to be more Black Tabletops coming in this kind of setting. Again, thank you for bearing with me through the growing pains and getting the platform and getting it under my belt. I can't wait to have our third Black Tabletop, and our fourth, and our fifth, and our sixth, and our seventh, so on and so forth. So whenever you find the time, please make sure to fill out that form. And with that, happy Friday. Welcome to the weekend. Thank you for spending some time with us. And tabletop dismissed. Cleaned. To go boxes? I don't know how to close it out. But yes, thank you for being here.
I mean, until next time.
Yeah.
Back on the black table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A little outro music. Black tabletop. Black tabletop. I support no Black tabletop. Yeah.
Period.
No?
Okay. I love that.
I was over here on my shoulder. Okay, listen.
They gave what it's supposed to give.